college football, and we were trying to, I wanted to see what kind of identity that we were going to have early, uh, doing the things that we do, running to the ball, and trying to keep up what we do on a Friday night. So, looking in, we didn't know really what we had until that first game was here.
And then moving on after that one, Logan Rogersville first away game, and it's a game where where adversity started to hit the team right away at the beginning of the season. You had some key injuries there, and then also a game that just got chippy, for the lack of better words, that ended up being a long night with refs having to sort some stuff out on the field, but one where the Tigers again walked away with a good win, 34-14.
I think, and Coach Q probably can speak on this pretty good, that was the first time we saw our kids, I mean, they got kind of punched in the mouth, and you got to see kind of the bare bones of, kind of a back alley type of attitude.
good job in the trenches. The linebackers were feeling pretty good, and those guys got rolling on offense.
You know, that was the game we came out in the old school spinner package, and you know, and that was kind of coming out of the East Newton game where we thought we needed to go, and I think kind of shocked Mac a little bit because we hadn't shown that really all year, the double quarterback,
and he was happy about that.
And we really didn't have a quarterback back there. We kind of had just 4 running backs, and we, you know, kind of worked all week on that mesh, man. We did, and the guys up front were did an outstanding job. I think that's when we started going a little double tight.
The beautiful part about that is we didn't have to do a whole lot of different things up front. We kept that part the same. It was just getting the skill guys, the penny players, what I call the penny players, getting them on the same page back there. And we have some pretty good athletes. I mean, our kids work really, really hard to be good athletes. They picked it up real quick, and I'm glad we had it because after the week before, I mean, we were kind of down on ourselves a little bit, and we come out that MAC game and everything kind of started clicking a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, we were hitting on all cylinders. I mean, it was big. We were kind of looking at each other on the sidelines like, damn, this is nice. You know, after that East Newton game.
We went from possibly the worst game we played to at the same time the next week the best game.
Where the ball really started to roll.
You got to see kids like Chase Query make plays. You get to see, you know, we were trying to get Ian the ball more. You know,
defensively, we had Ori in there, and TJ was in there for us. You know, 2 guys that wasn't starting for us for Alex, and then they really stepped up, did a good job for us.
Turn my microphone back on. After Matt County, you know, another one of those games that you probably had circled on the calendar for the regular season, week 7, Silver Tiger game up in Nevada versus, you know, ranked team in Class 4, team that had been rolling most of the year, and you know, an amazing defensive effort by the Tigers. You know, one of the things I remember is, you know, several key 4th downs. You know, 3rd and 1, they go into 4th in what seemed like inches, and the line and the linebackers would stone them. And you know, in my mind, that's what won that ball game.
Oh yeah, this is all Coach Wilk because that's what won us the ball game was defense and special teams. So I'll let Coach Wilk take this.
Well, I told Jared early in the week all we got to do is score 14 points. I said if offense can score 14 points, we're going to win. Guys, I've done this for a while, and I was so honored when I got to come work with Chris and Jared and those guys. But one of the reasons I come to Lamar was because Chris Wilkerson, and the way that he defends teams like me. He'll never say it to him. He'll never let you know. He'll never say anything. He's always going to give the credit to the kids. But I've never seen a team that is a run-heavy team that does much against us. I mean, he has those guys, and our kids just ready to roll. And I knew offensively we could score some. They were tough, but I knew we could score at least 2. We got 1.
Well, we got 1. Yeah, we didn't get 2. We got 1.
Count the special teams. That's an offensive touchdown. You know, Scott doesn't. As an offensive player, I've tried to explain that to him. He doesn't quite see it that way. But, you know,
he's not here to defend him.
When you got guys like Chris Wilkerson and Scott Bailey coaching special teams and defense for us, sometimes on offense we can't. You know, I used to make fun of him, call us the juggernaut. And Chris used to always make fun of me and say, "Well, where's your juggernaut?" Well, some nights I need him to be the juggernaut, and by golly, he was. And that happens a heck of a lot more than just that night. But that was a special night defensively for us.
I was very pleased with our kids, and you know, defensively, we were. And I don't want to say lights out, but we were lights out.
Yeah, that's the only way to say it.
They're averaging 60 points a game, and
linebackers feeling, reading their keys, and you know, some of the linebackers that we have now, TJ and Ori was on the other side as outside linebackers. You know, you look at them and say, "Yep, we're going to run there, and we're going to run there. We're not running here. We're going to go outside." And they tried to do that all night long, and you know, TJ was just blowing them
ate it up
left and right.
Ori running things down from the backside.
Ori was running down. He saved a touchdown from the backside on the leading rusher in the area. Our kids, man, it was a really special night for me. That's where I started 29 years ago, and that was my last game on that field. So that was a special night for me.
And I know Eric and I appreciate it because that game for us was over where other teams were going to halftime because it was just run. And we like look at it.
It was a very quick game.
You're like, that game is over. What?
Yeah, we're done.
Yeah. Before we move on, and I'm going to piggyback a little bit off Q. Every coach that I talk to, you know, when you get to the end of the year, you get to go to these end of the year meetings, you get to go to the all-state meeting, and you get to talk to all these coaches, and that's the game that I get the most compliments on. And I tell them, I was like, guys, it wasn't me. We scored 1 touchdown offensively. I was like, you know, but that was the one that they're most impressed with. How did you hold this Nevada team that was so dominant running the football against everybody. It wasn't, you know, it wasn't just, you know, against some of the poorer teams in the Big Eight. I mean, they did it to Seneca. They're doing it to teams in Class 4 playoffs, and we were the ones to able to shut them down. And the only other team that shut them down like that was Kearney, who wins the Class 4 state title.
I mean, I'd have to go back and look, but I'm pretty sure offensively we had the ball for almost the entire game. I mean, our defense really didn't have to do a whole lot that night.
See, this is where
when
this
we keep it
juggernaut's
away
gonna
from
come in
them.
at some point in time.
No, Chris,
They scored 7.
barely.
And to keep us on our script here, try to get everything in that we want to, I'm going to lump the next 2 games together. You have a traditional, you know, really strong Big 8 team, Castle, a little bit down, but they're always going to give you their best game. Lamar was able to take care of that one 41-7. And then senior night with Hollister, you know, again, another good job by the offense and defense, winning that one by a score 49-7.
I think you can package those 2 games together, because that's where we started getting our guys back, and kids are playing real confident. You come out of those 2 weeks of Mac and Nevada, now kids understand, okay, now we're getting into playoff mode. Now we just beat 2 really good Class 4 teams. Now they're playing with confidence. Alex is coming back. Cooper's is coming back. You know, we're kind of starting to get rolling, and kids are playing confident, and that's, I mean, those 2 games kind of yielded themselves. We knew that we had to get through those to get to the playoffs, and the kids did a great job. We always say we prepare the same no matter who the team is, and we got prepared, we got in, we got out of there with victories, and got moved on.
All right, we got to take another break to thank our sponsors. Again, you're listening to the Lamar Tiger Year in Review on 101.7 The Vault. We'll see you on the other end of this break. Welcome back, Tiger fans. Once again, we're live from Mother Tucker's Pizza. We want to thank Jeff and Jenny and all the staff here for allowing us to be here. And still got time to come out and get some great pizza or a sandwich out by the golf course. So we've made it through the regular season. And, with that great regular season, you do get a bye in the first week of districts. You get home field advantage in districts. And first game, Diamond, not a ton to really talk about on that one. Pitched the third shutout of the year. Tigers take care of business 47-0.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was one of those games where, again, we come out of the bye, we're healthy, kids are playing confident, kind of like, with the Hollister and the Castro game. We're just trying to build on what we do, just hone in on the little things as we go in, because we knew, boy, there were some games coming, and so got in there. I believe we had, that was the game Carson got hurt, so that was the one downfall of that game, was that we lost one of our one of our skilled guys for the rest of the year, and Carson had done a great job up to that point for us, especially when Cooper and Alex were out. But again, kids step up and you find ways to kind of cover up for guys being gone.
Well, and Diamond just come off a pretty big win. They beat a big rival that week before.
Yep.
Yeah, they beat Sarcoxy, so they were kind of.
And they wanted to play. They wanted to play football, because we talked about that game. It seemed like Sarcoxy, they wanted their season to be over, and Diamond wanted 7 more days of football. So they came in and
see it on film,
and we were able to take care of business. So.
Then we roll up into district championships. Going against Adrian's. Blackhawks come to town with a something to prove, chip on their shoulder. Class 1 runner-up in 2022. And, boy, they didn't disappoint. It's one of the tougher opponents Lamar will end up facing. And it's one of those games that afterwards, I believe Adrian earned a lot of respect, not only from Lamar's team, but the fans, the battle they put us through in that one.
great football team.
Yeah, they're well coached.
Very physical.
They're one of the few programs that you can kind of point at and say that those are kids like our kids. And I think the thing that I was most impressed of was how strong those kids were. They were strong with their hands. They were not getting moved. I really thought, watching them play Class 1 teams, that they weren't going to be ready for our physicality, and they were. I mean, they hit us just as hard as we hit them, and we were able to make some plays at the end to kind of separate ourselves. But yeah, that was a scary game. It really was, going in the fourth quarter down.
And they were without number 55. I remember that dude on the
field.
field.
They didn't have one of their Mike linebackers.
He could play. They were. I'll tell you, a lot of times people come to Lamar, and honestly, to me, it's a 14-point advantage for us just having them come to Thomas O'Sullivan Stadium. They were not scared of us. Those dudes were looking us in the eye when they walked on the field, and they wanted a piece of us.
Yep, they were ready to play.
And they were a very good football team. They had some cats. I mean, they were. I felt lucky coming out of that one with a win after it was all said and done, to be honest.
Yep, and that's a team that this coming year is going to be a team that they're going to want us again if they're Class 2, and they're not going to be scared of us again. They bring a lot of those kids back.
Really gritty kids.
You look at them, you're like, man, there's 8 to 10 really good football players on that team. Really good football players, and you don't see very many Class 1 teams that are like that. So.
And it's they're one of those teams that how as luck would have it, they moved from Class 1 to Class 2. If I were a betting man, they're Class 1, they would have won the state championship this year.
I would have.
I don't know who else came out of there, and I would have watched them play, but I mean they had a very good football team.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think they had a little extra fit, so maybe they had some advantages.
All right, you got something, Eric?
One team that I actually watched a lot of film on. I try to watch film on every team, but I watched extra film on them, and on the film, they were a different team when they came to play us, for sure.
They were bigger and stronger than what I thought on film. I mean, when you watch these teams play, Adrian's playing in the old WeMo conference. A lot of small, teams. Most of their conferences went to 8-man, and they're playing some of these, really small schools around them. And you just look at them, you're like, they're just not playing any type of Big 8 West competition, and they're going to be shell shocked when they come and play us. And that just wasn't the case. It was the first time that wasn't the case.
And I will say, we did not necessarily overlook Adrian. We knew that they were there. I mean, Wilk especially. I mean, week 3 and 4, we were talking about some teams. He's like, keep your eye on Adrian. And, we have enough guys with Coach Bailey, and that actually was coached at Adrian years and years ago.
Lived there. Was the mayor of Adrian, actually.
We knew that they were. We knew that they were okay. We knew that was probably the team we were going to face for a district championship. So But they did shock us on how physical they were. I really was surprised with that.
Well, to springboard off of that, I say all the time that Lamar, we never take anybody for granted. It doesn't matter what the record is, because we know they're going to give us our best shot.
Absolutely.
And being with these guys, not with Jared, of course, but in the past, Coach Wilk, he usually has 7 or 8 films broke down, and so we don't take anybody lightly, and that's a credit to the coaching staff.
All right, moving on. That wrapped up. I can't even remember how many consecutive district championships, but Lamar's got a pretty good run of those going, and get the pleasure.
15, 16, I don't know. The number
17.
changes every year.
It's
It
a
gets
lot.
higher. I don't know.
I think it's 17 in
On that.
4
I remember you quizzing me on
in a row.
that.
Yeah,
I've been here for 4, so 4.
I had that looked up for a while, but got
It's
the
15 or 16.
We won one in 06,
2008.
and then 07 was the year we did not win a game, and then 08 from 08 on is
15.
so whatever the number is, we've also won another one in so many years, which is also impressive.
needless to say, a lot of them.
A lot.
A good run there, and brings a familiar opponent to Lamar, Lafayette County. We've seen them in the playoffs. We've seen them a couple times in the state championships. Definitely they bring some athletes to town when they're warming up. You're like,
See them at team camp too.
they got some cats out
Summer
there.
camp.
Yeah, we knew.
And that's one where the Tiger defense played a very good game, and the offense poured it on, and they won that one 41-7.
For me, that was when we really found our sauce offensively. Again, and Adrian exposed us a little bit. We didn't get a first down in the first. I think the first down was in the late second quarter against Adrian. So, we went back to the drawing board a little bit again, trying to put our best kids in the best positions. And I thought that game we did a really good job offensively of getting our playmakers the ball in their hands with good things in front of them in good position. So that was, to me, a springboard of our offense and defense. They've been playing lights out all year. And like Coach Wilk said, we saw them in summer camp. They knew us real well, and we knew them really well. Our coaching staffs know each other really well.
Well, they're class. Their coaches are high class. Their kids are high class. It was fun. I
it was
enjoyed
cool.
that football game. As a coach, you get to play teams like that once in a while where you have a lot of admiration for the guy across from you. And I know Coach Bailey. I wish he was here, because I've learned a lot about a lot of other coaches from Coach Bailey this year. They were really good friends. I can't think of that guy's name.
Coach Cook. Steve
Coach Cook, yeah.
Steve Cook.
And, before the game, it was just fun. It was one of those Saturday afternoons that you love. It was at home, a home playoff game on a Saturday. The sun was shining. The guys across from you that respect the game, play the game the right way. And it was going to be a good football game. And we just happened to get rolling. We did. We had some things start happening for us. And guys like Alex and Cooper and some of those guys started coming back. My offensive line started playing really, really well at that time. I thought they started understanding place and space.
Yeah.
And defensively, we were just really starting to really get going.
Defensively, if you've watched us over the years, we don't stump very often. I don't like that. You get too many kids in wrong spots. But coming into that game, we did some twist stunts in the middle with our D tackles. We did some Texas stunts with our DNs and tackles, stuff that we hadn't put on film. And Scott did a great job that week getting those guys prepared and ready for that. And Alex's first pick, that's because we had Trace Woolhite right in his face on a Texas stunt.
Woolridge.
What'd I say?
Woolridge.
And we did a lot of that
Yeah.
on that game that they didn't have a clue that we did.
I can guarantee you that was another team that had us circled, because they haven't had a whole lot of success against us.
Well, I guarantee you that's why they came to team camp, to kind of see what we had, and which was cool. We welcome that.
Cook, he had that game circled also.
All right, we got one more game before the state championship to get through. We got about 3 minutes on this one. So Bowling Green coming out of Northeast Missouri, a team that had been putting up about 60 points a game. They got some athletes there too, but Lamar put the brakes on the running game, forced their quarterback to have to, fend for his life, and the secondary defensive line made his life very rough. And Lamar would win that one 47-16 to earn a trip to the state championship for the 4th year in a row.
I'll start here. Very similar to the Nevada game. The most compliments I get is our defensive play against a top-tier offense like Bowling Green. Everyone across the state knew how they were putting up 60, 70 points a game. The Bryant kids going to Wyoming, they got this huge offensive line and just incredibly great-looking football team. They're kind of a mix of Mack County and Nevada, only they were putting up even better numbers than Nevada. And, you know, me and Coach Wilk talked after the season, and I agree 100% I think this is one of the best defensive coaching jobs we've had. I really do. Because of where we started and then the offenses we were able to shut down. He's not going to say that, but him and Coach Bailey deserve kudos for what they did with our kids this year on the defensive end. They really do.
And the other thing I mentioned about that team that was unique, and you saw it on film, like, man, that could give you some fits, is how quick they would break the huddle, get on the line, and snap that ball.
The team that won the game for us that week was our scouts.
Scouts.
That's our scout team.
Our scout team ran their
than
offense faster than Bowling Green did after 4 days. And that is true words.
Day one in the gym, we had it down.
Yeah.
We practiced in the gym because of weather, I believe.
And we were extremely elaborate. We had kids with the jerseys on of their personnel that actually checked into the game.
So
our defense was calling out who's in and who's out, so we knew how to get lined up. It was probably one of the best coaching jobs I've seen in 25 years of coaching. It was. Our kids were locked in, and our defense, and we played really well offensively too. Our kids picked it all up, because we were extremely concerned.
That was a good football team.
it's hard to simulate a team like that. Scott and I talked on Sunday. Here's what we're going to do.
Clap to
tomorrow.
snap in 4 seconds.
Clap to snap in 4 seconds. Can we get it faster than 4 seconds?
We were faster than 3 seconds.
By Tuesday, our scout team was faster. So.
And I want to take
And Bowling Green was a really good football team.
Yes.
But they never had anybody get lined up to them like we did.
And nobody really defended the triple option like we did on that day.
We start day one
That's
defending that offense.
Because we have Webb in that jamboree. So that's the first thing.
So unless you run it better than Webb, then we're probably going to be prepared for it.
But that cat they had stepping in the backfield, he was legit.
He's pretty good.
He was
a good player.
Going to Wyoming. He was a good, really respectful kid too. I remember talking to him after the game. He was pretty. Came over and shook all of our hands.
Yeah.
Good looking kid.
The kids on our scout
6'3".
team, Trent Torbeck, Logan Kish,
They were the unsung
Hunter
heroes
Wolf.
that week by far.
You can go and name on and on. You can name on and on about those kids.
And if I remember right, they had 8 yards at halftime.
Yeah, something
Maybe.
like that. Something like
Pretty
that.
incredible.
Our kids were locked in.
I was going to bring those stats with me tonight, but I'm almost sure it was 8 yards.
Yeah, they were really, really locked in.
It was an impressive ball game, to say the least, by the Tiger defense. And I think that shocked a lot of people across the state to see that number. When you see what we scored on them and what they scored on us. We're going to go ahead and take another break. You've been listening to the Year in Review for Lamar Tiger Football on 101.7 The Vault. After the break, we're going to break down the state championship game. We'll see you in just a few minutes.
Management staff and all employees of Redneck Outdoors, one of the Barton County area's largest employers, would like to wish the Barton County area teams a great year. Redneck Outdoors is always a supporter of area student athletes, band members, cheerleaders, and the entire school system. It takes a lot to create a winning team, and Redneck Outdoors would like to recognize everyone involved. Redneck is always looking for qualified applicants for employment and is proud to support the Barton County area's workforce. Redneck offers competitive wages, health benefits, 401k, as well as an employee stock ownership program. You can apply at 1705 Gulf, Lamar, Missouri, or call 417-682-1927. Redneck Outdoors, nationally known, locally owned and operated, proud to be a part of Barton County. Redneck is an equal opportunity employer.
American Family Agent Eric Hughes invites you to come in and review your insurance needs. Eric has home, commercial, life, and auto to cover all your insurance needs. And American Family to back you all the way. Stop by the office today at 407 West 12th Street in Lamar or call 417-682-3725. For peace of mind, have the right insurance agent, Eric Hughes and American Family.
American Family Insurance.
Missing that human touch with your bank? Come talk to a real person at Community National Bank and Trust, your local bank that's small enough to know you, yet big enough to offer for the best products. Your busy lifestyle requires banking options like mobile deposit and people-to-people pay. With locations in Southeast Kansas and Southwest Missouri, let Community National Bank and Trust keep your finances safe and your spending smarter. Visit mybankcnb.com for a location near you. Community National Bank and Trust. Federally insured, locally awesome.
Clements Plumbing, Heating, and Air would like to wish the Tigers coaches and all involved with the program a great season. Clements Plumbing, Heating, and Air has been serving the needs of the people in the area for years. With a trained staff of technicians, they can do the job big or small. Whether it's plumbing, heating, or air, they get the job done right the first time and at a price that's hard to beat. The staff and management, always a proud supporter of Lamar Tigers athletics and the entire school. Don't forget to schedule your appointment to get your system checked out before it begins to have problems. Clements Plumbing, Heating, and Air, located at 400 West 12th Street, Lamar. Give them a call today at 417-682-3797.
Eisenhower Lumber is your full-line lumber and hardware store, working to provide contractors, carpenters, and the do-it-yourselfers quality products and friendly service at competitive prices. How about Valspar Paint and Holland Grills? Eisenhower Lumber is your source for plumbing, electrical, paint, building materials, millwork, and lawn and garden. Eisenhower Lumber, 903 Gulf in Lamar, or call 682-5545. Find them fast in names and numbers.
Tiger fans, once we're live from Mother Tucker's Pizza, we want to thank them for hosting this event. Remember, they're Lamar's favorite local pizza shop for sandwiches, pizzas, wings, treats, so much more. Go visit them south of town out by the golf course. And for the state championship game, it's one of those when you look at the bracket and you could see how it could shake out, that there'd be the possibility of two traditional powerhouses facing off for state, and that's what we got with Lamar logging horns with Valley Catholic. We're going to break that game down kind of quarter by quarter. And for that first quarter, I'm going to start it like this. That Dan Marino once said there's no defense against a perfect pass, and I can throw a perfect pass. And Grant Fowler from Valley Catholic must have took that to heart, because he threw a couple dimes, and pretty quickly Lamar found themselves down 14-0. When you look at tape, we had a back on a receiver, but those passes were just over the fingertips or in stride, and you got to kind of take your hat off to them. But those were a couple really good offensive plays for them to get them up in that first quarter, leading that one 14-0 at the end.
You're going to play when you're in the state championship game. They got dudes too. You know, we used to say in college those guys are on scholarship too. And Valley Catholic is an extremely well coached team. Their program speaks for itself. I mean, they're up there with Webb on the level of program that they have, and we knew that they were going to have some cats. And so, Coach Wilker will probably talk about here in a second, but we had guys in positions, just those guys made plays. And like you said, you got to tip your hat off to that and keep fighting. And lucky for us, it was early and our kids were able to bounce back.
They came out on that very first one. Alex went for the pick, just missed it. Kid had a good catch. Second one, we got hooked up on a double move. Again, quarterback threw a dime, and like you said, we're down 14-0. The one thing that I appreciate in our kids coming off, just keep playing. Don't worry about the score, just keep playing.
And for offensively, I know that, we were moving the ball in that first drive, and we just couldn't keep putting the drive together. We were waiting for a big play, and we weren't, hats off to them. They had a good scheme against.
We made some mistakes.
We did. We did.
But we got it figured out. That was the thing that was kind of offensively for us. We're really big into making adjustments throughout the game as it goes. And it's one of those things like, what do we, Jared's like, what do we need to change? And I'm asking, what do we need to change? Nothing. We just need to actually block it the way that it's supposed to be blocked. Yeah. And we can be, have some
we had some mental errors there in the first half with some guys. I mean, when you play in a state title game, and we talk about it,
people don't understand.
We talk about it from even our first time in 2020, where we got guys that we've relied on all year long. And you get in that moment, and sometimes it's a big moment, and it takes time for them to adapt to that game. And so you got guys making a couple mistakes, slipping a block, not communicating this, pulling when they're not supposed to, or not pulling, should have been pulling but they didn't. And we got that stuff figured out late in the game, but first couple drives it did hurt us. It really did.
And then going into the second quarter, the Tigers would start off with the ball. The Warriors would stop us on downs on our first play from scrimmage. Fowler uncorked another one for 75 yards to get in stride to Tyler Gegg. And quickly you find ourselves down 21-0, which is not a spot that we're really used to seeing. But, kind of one of those words that stuck with this team all year was resiliency. And, didn't let us get us down after being in that hole. And then Alex Wilkerson was able to hit Chase Query open, and he had scamper 69 yards to the end zone, bringing the Tigers within 14.
That was huge.
Yeah.
Because I remember we were down 14-0, and I was like, you know what? I remember telling these guys, hey, we've been up 14-0. We can. I mean,
in these
we've
games,
got
yes.
beat, so it can happen. Then they went up 21-0. I remember saying, we haven't been down 21. And then
three big pass plays.
Three big pass plays. And when we scored to make it 21-7, we weren't down 21-0 very long. Everybody goes, oh, you're down 21-0. We were, but it wasn't very long.
We answered real quick.
Because we answered quick, and then you're down 14, you're in the game. You're always in the game.
Our kids, you never saw the panic. I know when we talk, especially the two state title games that we've been in that we've been up 14-0, and we always talk, if we go up 21-0, it's over.
It's over.
So we were in that position, and I saw one guy he didn't panic, but yell and try to get fired up, and that was Logan Kish on the kickoff. He's like, guys, we got to get going. And no one else panicked. It wasn't not a panic thing. I think we were probably panicking more than the kids were, and the kids knew we just needed to get going and make a big play. They did.
A lot of ball.
And the defense went back out there, and they did keep playing. They held firm. 2:01 left. They get the ball back, and that was capped off by Logan Kish. He had a couple good runs on that drive, brought Lamar within 14-21. And then with 10 seconds left in the half, Valley Catholic went with a trick play that had us on our toes, but a backwards pass was ruled down as the receiver's knee was on the turf, and that brought it into the half.
Yeah, we knew that. We felt pretty good about ourselves going into halftime. They're down 21-0, and then it was 21-14. Our kids, and we got the ball back second half.
Absolutely.
At that moment, we're feeling pretty good about ourselves.
I'd like to say how good the officials did in that state championship game, calling that play with that kid's knee down.
That was a good one. One of the better
We've been
ones
kind of
that
snake bit a little bit
Yes,
up there from time to time, but I thought those guys did a phenomenal job.
And what was great about them was the communication piece. I mean, we talk about the last two state title games. Everyone can point at the officials in certain parts of the game. The whole game is not come down to a couple calls, but those guys were making calls in and out of drives and communicating with me. And I'm sure the other coach that were good calls. I mean, they were a very professional group, and I thought the Misha staff did a much better job this year of picking those guys on.
They made a couple of calls later, like the forward pass that they ended up. I mean, I thought that there was a very good officiating crew. And
That's
the
stuff
last
that
couple
those
of years,
guys
everybody
miss
wants
a
to point
lot.
out how bad officials are sometimes, and I want them to know that no, they're stuff happens. They're human beings.
We
These
had
guys did a great job.
had good crews all the way up.
We
want to talk about the crews that we had in the quarters and the semis. It was good crews as well.
It's one of those deals that whether it's little kids in flag football to the NFL, you don't want to remember a game because of the officiating. You want them to do their job, and you shouldn't remember the officials.
Remember the game, not the call.
Yep. And then rolling into quarter three, Lamar received the ball at the half. 9:22 left. Forced a punt. Valley worked the ball down the field with 6:30 left. Once again, foul it through the air. Another great pass to a leaping Colin Henderson. He caught the ball over one defender, then made another miss, and was able to get in the end zone, and that brought the score 28-14. But little did we know at that time that'd be the last time Valley would touch the end zone in that game. And the Tigers didn't fare much better in that quarter. The Catholic defense kept us out of the end zone. So what are your quick thoughts on the third quarter?
We needed a break.
Yeah.
After that third quarter, we needed a break. Something had to happen for us to get a break, and we got it.
Yeah,
when they had to snap.
Yep, we'll get that here in just a second.
For us on defense, that's where we started making some adjustments. And I'll get to that in the fourth quarter. Coming out at halftime, I don't want to say we completely changed everything up front, but on the back end,
we made some adjustments.
We made a lot of adjustments the second half.
We offensively, I was a little disappointed in myself because I thought when we came out in that second half, I thought we had some things figured out. I thought we'd get rolling, we'd be able to put some drives together, and we didn't.
Well, we kept stalling.
And we stalled.
We would have a penalty, or we'd have a holding penalty, and it was tough.
At the end of the third quarter, we started figuring out that their defense was really over-rotating to Ian. We really figured that out, and that was something we figured out against Lafayette County and Bowling Green, and we thought that, Valley would be, kind of coached up on that point, but they were still doing it as well. And so when we did that towards the end of the third, you'll see us, we started doing some run stuff away from Ian, and hats off to Ian.
He became a decoy. And he knew it. He even told us, I'm a decoy now.
Ian's one of our best, if not the best athlete on our football team, and he's a kid that doesn't have the numbers or anything because he's almost more valuable to us taking guys away from the football and having other guys create plays. And so you start to see that at the end of the third quarter, and then the fourth quarter, obviously, good things happen for us.
Yeah, we had made mention of the adjustments because we could see them that you guys made. The adjustments came right at the right time defensively. It was awesome. And then what you're talking about, the last play of the game, which I don't want to take any thunder away, but if you watch that over and over again, I mean, the whole team was flowing with Ian. And so, yeah, that was pretty awesome.
Win left.
So we got a couple minutes left here. We'll get through this fourth quarter and overtime. So we caught that break at the beginning of the fourth quarter. Snap goes over the punter's head in the end zone. He takes the ball in the end zone, tackled around the 5 or 7, somewhere there. Then we also get a penalty because he spikes the ball down on the ground. And a few plays later, Alex barrels in the end zone for a 3-yard run, bringing it to 20 to 28. On the extra point, there'd be a penalty on the extra point, backed us up 5 yards. And how big that one kick off of Jose's foot was.
Yeah, and you want to talk about clutch all day
He
in the
nailed
rain.
it, baby.
And a guy that, I mean, and Jose would tell you, he'd have one kick a game that he would lose focus. And boy, he was money all day. And you could see when you got a senior out there and he's playing for his football life.
He nailed it.
Those are the guys you want.
Oh, false start. We had a false start.
Yep, we had a false start.
He nailed it. And once again, it looked like that Valley had something going with that double pass, but again, there was a couple different penalties. Said there was a board pass.
Legal man downfield.
A couple things that brought that ball back. Tigers force a punt, and then with 6:11 left, Wilkerson steps back in the pocket. Chase Query does a double move, and 91 yards later, it's 28-28, and both teams would stiffen up on defense and take the game into overtime.
Wasn't going to be a double move. That was supposed to be slant. Coach Beshore lifted Alex Wilkerson and Chase and kind of gave our little sucker motion to where Chase would basically do the double move. And I remember looking for the slant, and all of a sudden the ball's going over my head, and I'm like, oh, what happened? And I look at Jared, and it was weird because he's smiling. And when Corey caught that ball, he looked back at me, and he gave me the little sign, and I was like, you little sucker. I could have kissed him on the mouth right then.
So you got to know the backstory behind that, because 2 weeks earlier we're playing Higginsville, and Coach is he's yelling at me because it's third down or something, and I call one of our hitch concepts, and it's short of the first down. And Coach,
it's like 3rd and 7.
Coach Q,
why are we running?
Coach Q, he's yelling, "Don't! What are you doing? What are you doing?" And the play's about ready to run. Well, he didn't see me give the double move call, and Coach Q's yelling at me, and I don't say anything. I just wait, and he's snapping the football, and Alex pumps, Chase wide open, touchdown. He turns around and looks at me and goes, he gives me that look. And so then we did it in the state title game, and I turned and looked at him, I go, "Do you see that?" And he goes, "No." So
it was awesome.
It was a cool moment. It really was. And great. You want to talk about a great route by Chase selling it, and a great throw in the rain when the state title's on the line by Alex. Big time players make big time. Coach Wilkes says all the time, big time players make big time plays in big time games. And those two guys were big time players for us that night, no doubt about it.
And on that play, I thought, man, Trace was wide open. I thought we were throwing the ball to him. And then the next thing I see is the ball not going to Trace and Chase catching it, and then Trace made a great block.
Yeah, he did.
Yep.
And then to jump ahead real quick, we gave Mr. Juarez the redneck outdoor play in the game because he kicked 5 extra.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Every point mattered in that game.
And that was something Coach Bailey preached all year. Honestly, was you never know when one point's going to make the difference. You never know, and it could have very easily. Either one of those kickers, for us or them, having to miss it early, and thank goodness it didn't come down to that. I mean, I don't want a kid to ever have to feel something like that almost.
In a big game.
Well, in Valley, we thought, when the time was running out down there, that they were going to get their field goal kicker because he was kicking them 50 yards in warm-ups.
Yeah.
And we were talking about, like, what are they doing? Why aren't they getting him out there to kick a field goal? So
I'm glad they did.
Lady Luck was on our side that night,
Yep.
for sure.
So we go to overtime. If I remember, Valley won the toss. They defer, so Lamar goes first. So Valley then knows, hey, do we got to score? What do we got to score to win this ball game? And it took one play from scrimmage, and Alex breaks one for 25 yards, breaks several tackles along that left side to get into the end zone, and that was up to the defense to hold Valley Catholic out. They had their first play was a good look into the end zone. There was a chance for it to be picked. It falls down on the ground short of the end zone. A couple plays later, the celebration's on. It's neat to watch that on film. I watched it again today while I was writing all this down. Is once that last pass is incomplete, just helmets flying off. Everybody
So-
jumping for
Headsets
joy.
flying too.
Yeah.
So a little something about that last series in overtime. We pretty much went to our, and I want to say dime, but we had two young men that hadn't taken a snap all week long in the biggest time play of the game. Adam
Eli.
Kuzman, and Eli hadn't taken a rep all week long. And before we went to overtime, I went to him and said, hey, here's what you're going to do. Step up. This is your time. Go make something happen.
And they did.
So we took two of our starters in overtime, put two young men in that hadn't taken a snap, just to make sure that we didn't give those long passes up. And they did a nice job for us.
Yep.
And
It didn't cower down to the moment.
It let our front line just go. And let our
they
linebackers
did.
just go.
Yep, and their quarterback was running for his life at the end of
Yep.
that one.
Yep.
Definitely made a pressure situation for him, and at the as the ball hit the ground, clock hit zero. Well, I guess not zero because it's already zeros for how overtime works, but that gives Tigers number 9 in the championship case and gives a bookend to the senior class.
To me, and I've already told this to these guys. To me, it's the sweetest one, personally, for the season that we have had, for the adversity these kids overcame. And there's things behind the scenes people don't know about that our team had to go through, injuries, and this is, and for it to all accumulate down to a state title game where our kids have to overcome 21-0 and 28-14 going into fourth. I mean,
And to win it like we did.
and to win it like we did was incredible. And to me, the coolest moments of those games, and all of us have been a part of them, is when the clock hits zero or the play's over and you see the kids realize the first moment that it's done.
We did it.
They did it. You see helmets flying. You see guys crying, hugging each other. It's an incredible moment, and to me, that's the feeling that you play this game for.
It gives
that
you
coach
goosebumps.
it does. It's and just to see them all go. I mean, that's the moment that I coached the game for, and played the game for, and these guys, it keeps you coming back.
I know that's what we feel, but the best part about this is that's an irreplaceable memory for those kids, for us.
Mm-hmm.
And Will gets to do it with his son. All three of them now. Congratulations, by the way. Jared's got to do it with his brother, with his dad. It's a really cool thing.
A lot of things that people don't.
Little
see
things
on
that
Yeah.
we talk about in the coach's office that we know that guys, the kids that we had playing for me, especially up front, offensive line for me.
Yeah, defense, all of us.
Eli, I had guys that weren't even linemen last year. We turned them in. We've had that for every single year we've been here. Then I got guys like Aiden Lovall and Aiden Forrest and Jose Juarez, my seniors, that would they'll do absolutely anything for me, for the football team, for our program. And they're so much fun. I'm going to miss them. These are the first group. This will be the first group that I've had for all 4 years.
Yep.
So, every other group I've had a great relationship with, just like you guys have. But I've only been 1 year or 2 years. But this is the first 4-year group, and I've got some really good bonds with some of these kids. And I'm so glad they got to go out on top. I'm so happy they put that number on the board.
To me, the embodiment, and if you could put it down to one player, is to Riddick Gordon. To me, is a program, the prime program player. That kid played every position on the field because we didn't know where to put him because he couldn't play any of the position. And now he
Stepped in.
and he started every
injury,
game.
Started every game.
And it
Those
was
are the kinds
impressive.
of kids that we do.
All district linebacker.
Yep.
All conference linebacker.
Well, gentlemen, an hour has already gone by pretty quickly. It's always fun to talk about football.
We could talk football all day.
I know. We really appreciate you guys for spending some time with us tonight. Obviously, an amazing year, and we look forward to what next year will bring. Before we know it, it'll be July and August, and it'll be time for another season. But for Eric England, this is Kevin Bull. Again, want to thank the coaches, and this will be our final broadcast for football now that we're into 2024. But we thank you, Tiger fans, for listening. Been listening to Year in Review on 101.7 The Vault. And again, thank you to sponsor Mother Tucker's Pizza for hosting us tonight. And we'll see y'all later. Good night.
Thank you. Tigers and all area teams.
teams, coaches, parents,